Yeah, so that's been recorded now. So you'll be able to go over this again, pause, rewind, replay whenever you need it. So just me personally, I'm from Ireland, Donegal, and I'm currently living in Dubai, and I'm a mindset coach. Now, whatever that means, I don't particularly like using that phrase. I just like helping people and trying to give as much value as I possibly can. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Because with some people it clicks and some people it doesn't. So when Amanda reached out to me, usually when people reach out to me, I'm very much down the line of what kind of person would I be working for? Whereas like Amanda in this regards, are they actually getting someone in to give value to their clients or the people they're working with? Or are they just getting someone in to tick the box, to add something else to their poster, to make it more attractive, to just get more people on board? And if it is a fact that it's someone that's just trying to tick the box, whoever has the baby, could we mute the mic? So if it is if it hello, can everybody hear me now? Okay, so if it is anyone that likes to tick the box, I tend to quickly walk away from it because I like to work with people who actually care about the people they're working with. And from knowing Amanda from 10 years ago in college, she was always looking to help people. She was always kind to people. She always had a good group of people around her and attracted good groups of people towards her. And that was one of the biggest driving factors of me to come on here 12 o'clock tonight, because she's doing this for whoever's going to benefit, who's going to benefit from it. So that was my reason for coming along. So I'm delighted that she asked me. So I'm just going to share my screen here, and tonight's focus, or this morning's focus, where you are, is going to be on stress management. So I'm just going to go through a couple of things, and like I said, if you find some golden nuggets, take that down, and you'll be able to go over it again. So I'll share my screen just now. Host disabled, participant screen sharing. Okay, so Amanda, I think you have to. I can't share my screen at the minute. So I am now a host. So
you're a host now, but if people pop in, you might just have to allow them in.
Okay. So just to confirm that everyone can see my screen from here, yeah? Okay. So what's the problem? So we're going to be looking at stress management for today. So this is everything we're going to go through today. So we're going to be looking at tools and techniques. Sorry, I'll just close that down. Looking at tools and techniques we can use to manage ourselves when stress makes an appearance. We'll be looking at changing our perspective on stress and reframing how we perceive stress. So the way we look at stress. So like I said, you're welcome to take notes. You're encouraged to write down, like I said, and answer any of the questions that I have within here, because I have some journaling prompts or questions that will be helpful for you to sit down and actually ask yourself, because more often than not, when we ask ourselves what might seem like a simple question and we write it down on paper, that's when it's actually out of your head, and it'll make sense for maybe the first time ever when you share that information with someone else or when you put it down on paper. So I would like you to reflect on today's workshop when we're done, and then take action by putting some of the exercises or whatever you take from it into practice. Because is there any real reason for you to sit on here for 1 hour if you're not going to get something from it and put it into use? I don't know, because otherwise it'll only be a waste of time. So make sure that you can get something from it and put it into use. Take action, because by taking action, it's the only way that you're going to move forward. So challenge yourself. And I would say you should accept that there will be a change in the way you view your problems if you put these things into play. So before we get into this, stress is the definition of stress is a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or demanding circumstances. Now, we all live a quite fast-paced lifestyle, whether you think you do or not, especially in this era where the phones is probably just an extension of our bodies. If you're someone who wakes up the first thing in the morning, you check your social media or you're looking through your emails, you're a stressed person. Where we spend so much time these days giving so much to our partners, our children, our work, our friends, and we tend to overlook number one. And when you overlook number one, it has serious effects on your body, on the mental side of things, and we can easily let that slip. So what I would be just telling everyone to do is, before you look after work, children, husband, wives, whoever else, make sure you're looking after number one, because if number one's not working properly, well, the husbands, wives, children, and work can't get anything from number one, because number one's not working at full capacity. So always make sure you're looking after number one, and we'll look into kind of stress on tonight's PowerPoint. Now, before I move forward, I'll be using, although tonight's our PowerPoint is on stress, I'll be using the term problem a lot, because not only do I want you to tackle stress, but I would like you to use these exercises where you can take out the word stress and put in whatever problem that you're dealing with, and use these exact same exercises in dealing with those problems and seeing these problems in a different light. So although tonight is stress focused, anywhere you can see problems or where I'm bringing up the exercises, you can reuse this in a different room, in a different light, with different problems. So just to keep that in mind. So how common is stress? So regardless of who you are, where you are, age, sex, ethnicity, no one is immune to stress, especially, like I said, in this day and age. So you can see some stats here, and this is according to the Global Organization for Stress, that 33% of people report feeling extreme stress, 77% experience stress that affects their physical health, and that could be losing weight, or maybe your weight fluctuating or putting on weight. And that's quite a high percentage. That's more than 7 people out of every 10. 73% of people have stress that impacts their mental health. And that's a big thing that it's something that people can't see. People can't see, whereas your physical health can fluctuate. People might not be able to see how your mental health is fluctuating. Or on the other side of things, people can see that you're a different person than you were 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago, due to a buildup of stress. And again, that's a quite large number. That's over 7 people in every 10. And then 48% of people have trouble sleeping because of stress. And this sleep has a massive knock-on effect. And anyone who out there who might be struggling with sleep, or knows anybody struggling with sleep, I'm happy to send Amanda on some maybe exercises that will help with sleep, some podcasts that will give you good knowledge on sleep. And if anyone who is there taking notes at the minute, I would highly recommend checking out Matthew Walker's book on Why We Sleep. It's an absolute game changer, and I know countless people who that book alone on sleep has changed their lives, whether that be their physical lives, their mental lives, their work lives, their relationships. That book alone has done massive, massive things for all aspects of their lives. So Matthew Walker, Why We Sleep. And if you weren't interested in reading, he's also recently started a podcast breaking down his book, and he's been on massive podcasts such as Joe Rogan. So if you want to check him out first before you invest in the book, either Audible or hardback, I would highly recommend that book. Okay, so effects on physical and mental health. So I'll just try and zoom in there a little bit. Those words seem a little bit small. So getting irritated at people and angry, fatigue, low in energy. I think we can all relate to most of the things on these lists. Lack of motivation, interest in things, anxiety, nauseousness, worrying, headaches, feeling sad or depressed, on the physical body and digestion, acid reflux, upset stomach, muscle tension, appetite changes, sexual problems, weight changes, and the list goes on and on and on when it comes down to stress. So just let me go to the next slide. Okay, so there's 3 types of stress, and in this link I left below is a link that I can again share with Amanda, or she can share with you if you do not have access to this link just now, but I'm sure you will after this call is done. So there's acute stress, episodic acute stress, and chronic stress. So below is a very short and sweet article where you can quickly see, if you feel your stress, which stress category do I fall under? So I can again email that on to Amanda after this call is over. So is stress a problem? Stress is not a problem, because a problem is only a problem if you perceive it to be a problem. And we're going to get into that as we go along and kind of explain what that means. So in putting this PowerPoint together, a really interesting quote that I picked up on was, the real voyage of discovery consists in not seeking new lands, but seeing with new eyes. So don't be just looking for different avenues to sort out your problem. Start looking at your problem from a different perspective and looking at your problem from a different way. And then that will alleviate the problem. So it's not the problems that we face that cause issues. So again, notice when I say problems, you don't have to use stress. Although tonight's focus on stress, you can insert whatever problem you may be facing. So it's not the problem that we face that cause the issue. It's how we perceive the problems. Perspective determines so much in our lives. We can look at our lives and our problems through a different frame. And at any time, and today, you're going to learn exactly how we're going to do that by looking through 4 different ways of reframing and looking at things from a different perspective. So a problem is only ever a problem depending on what it means to us. So example, rain. So rain itself is not a problem, but down wherever you are, rain, if you're having a barbecue and it starts raining, well, that's a massive problem. And you're going to be giving out to someone, it's raining, my plans are ruined, everyone's coming over. And just, we go back to that anger or ability, and now this is a massive problem. Rain in a third world country is a blessing, because they're dying for water. They're literally dying for water. When they see the same rain that ruined your barbecue, they're thanking every god under the sun. So it's all about the meaning in which we put on our problem. So I want to kind of break down and kind of give you like a background of how a problem is constructed and teaches how to step through each of the 4 types of reframing I want to share with you tonight. And that's why, if you have a pen and paper, please take note. But again, this will be shared with you. Because I could go through this, but I would prefer to give you the kind of the background of how these things and why these things are done. So how a problem is put together or constructed. You have your event, your context, and your meaning. So your event is what has caused the problem, what just happened. Your context is the frame which you see your problems, circumstances such as location, space, time, duration, family, business, age, resources, intention, and then the meaning. What meaning have you given this problem? What does that mean to you? So those are the 3 elements that construct a problem. So a lot of the time you can't change the event that's happened. So you need to focus on the context in which the event has happened and then change its meaning. Because any problem wouldn't be a problem if it had a different meaning. So for example, if we go back to that barbecue and it starts raining, you could be like, okay, well, we actually have a lovely living space that's never used. We could actually move all our guests into that living space. We could actually play the music system that we have that we couldn't play outside. We'll actually have a brilliant night inside the house. So that rain that was a problem is now not a problem anymore because you've changed the context and you changed the meaning of the problem. So that's it in its simplest form. So now, this is a serenity prayer that is used in a lot of different areas, even outside coaching. Now, I know God is written there. Now, that can be taken away because personally, I don't know, I wouldn't be maybe spiritual at the best of times. Some people are, some people aren't. So if you have to replace God here, but I think just this prayer is it's very powerful because it tells you to give me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So just relating it back to stress, like stop getting stressed at something that is out of your control that you can't change, but like take action and take control of the things that you can change and just know the difference between the two. So don't get stressed that you can't control this, but I can control that. I can control how I react it. I can control how I think about it, and I can control how I look forward. So that's why I slipped this serenity prayer in. Now you can replace God with whatever you want, a friend's name, anything that you like. But I think it's just powerful and a great reminder that grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, courage to change the things I can, so to take action, and the wisdom to know the difference. So here are the 4 types of reframing or perspective changing. There's the context reframe, the meaning reframe, the gratitude reframe, and the other people reframe. So I'm going to run through each one of these. I'll give an example of each one of them. And there will be some questions here that you can jot down at a later stage. So you can actually sit down and ask yourself these questions or use them as a journaling prompt maybe to help break through any stress or any other problems that you might be facing. And I'm just going to quickly check the chat here just in case there's people to be let in. Okay, cool. So the context reframe. So bring your attention to why this problem is a good thing. So here are some journaling prompts. In this situation, in what situation would this not be a problem? Just like the barbecue outside, it's raining. Well, if we move it into the sitting room, this is not a problem. We're still going to have a good night. If this was to occur at a different time, would that change anything? If different people were involved, would that change anything? If there was a different intention behind the situation, would that change anything? So these are just some prompts you can take away when you're reflecting on this call. And I'd like to give you an example of the context reframe and about bringing your attention to why a problem is a good thing. So I'm just going to share a story about a father who had this stubborn daughter, and she wouldn't listen to a thing that father would tell her. He'd tell her to eat her vegetables. No. Clean your room. No. Do your homework. No. Stay in. No. She was the most stubborn girl that he's ever met. So he had enough of this. This was causing him massive stress, huge problem. So he said, right, I'm taking this girl to a therapist or a counselor. We're getting to the bottom of this. So he went to the therapist or counselor and he sat down and he explained, I'm so stressed. My daughter is the most stubborn girl I've ever met in my life. She won't listen to a thing when I tell her to do things. Not when I tell her to do this. Not when I make her do this. No. And the therapist just sat back and just looked at him and said, congratulations. And he was like, what? Congratulations. He's like, what do you mean? Congratulations. Well, your daughter's probably going to be leaving home soon. She's coming 18, I guess. She's going to be going out to the big bad world. You can rest assured in bed when she's out in the big bad world that there's no boyfriend that she's going to have that's going to be able to tell her what to do. There's going to be no husband down the line who's going to be able to push her around, tell her what to do. She's never going to bow down at work to any man telling her what to do. She's a strong, independent woman and is going to do great things because of the stubbornness. And the father just got a massive, massive shock. And then he realized that his problem or his perceived problem is no longer a problem. So that's the essence of changing the context of why and bringing your attention to why your problem is maybe a good thing. So that's the context reframe, and that's the first reframe. The second one is the meaning reframe. So bring your attention to what else the problem could mean. And again, below, there's some journaling prompts. So what else could this behavior mean? What would you like it to mean? And is that possible? And how could it be a positive or useful resource to you? Now, then the meaning reframe, the example I'm going to give you is a personal example. So when I was in my early 20s and I left college and I was kind of at a crossroads, I didn't know where to go. I had no work. So I started working in a factory with my father. Now, I wouldn't have wished that place or any factory on any person. I just seen these men coming in broken every day, clocking in, clocking out. But in that factory, there was the boss. He used to show up once every 2 weeks wearing a big fancy suit where everybody else was wearing dirty clothes. And he'd take us into the meeting room and he'd threaten us that if one of his machines broke down again, that he'd go out and break our cars, because essentially he was paying for our cars. And every time he walked by us, he was shouting at us and telling us we weren't good enough. And it really added to my stress at the time. I just couldn't get over how one person could personally affect me, but the people around me as well, and treat someone so horribly. And I was getting very stressed out over it. And then I knew that I had to spend another 6 months in this place before I was going to go on to my next step in education. So I couldn't just like beat myself up every day over this guy. So I came up with a story in my head. I was like, okay, right, he's coming in here every day shouting at us, being angry, being aggressive, being, if you don't mind me saying, being a big dickhead. Uh, excuse my language. So I came up with a story in my head that, okay, I didn't know this man personally. So I came up with a story that, right, this guy's an alcoholic. His wife's after leaving him. His kids don't speak to him. He's in debt. I just kept telling myself them four things over and over and over every time I seen him and every time he got angry. So very quickly, I stopped being angry towards him. I stopped being stressed at him shouting at me. And it was so weird. I started feeling sorry for him because the story I started telling myself kind of became true because I didn't know him. And I started feeling really sorry for him. So then my work rate kind of lifted every time I seen him. I was like, I would tell myself I need to work harder because, that guy's in debt and he's a drink problem. So after a month, he noticed how hard I was working. And then we ended up after maybe 2 months having a couple of conversations. Before the 6 months were out, we actually kind of got to know each other, and I actually found out that he did have some problems and he even mellowed out. But just by changing the meaning of my problem, it alleviated my stress and in a way passively got rid of his a wee bit. But all I did was change what that problem meant to me. So I hope that makes sense. And that's just how to bring your attention to what else the problem could mean, whether you make it up in your head or it actually could mean something else to someone else. So the gratitude reframe. So bring your attention to everything that isn't wrong. So the journaling prompts, what three things are you most grateful for in your life? What could be happening that is much worse than this? And why are you grateful this problem exists? So just before I go into the gratitude reframe, I would be a big advocate of the three things that you're most grateful for. I was reading a study, and the name of the professor slips my mind just now, but I can share this study with Amanda again. If you practice gratitude, if you say three things or write down three things, or even better, share three things that you're grateful for with someone, your happiness levels in your body, your happy hormone, your happiness levels goes up, I believe, by, I think it's 75% or something along those lines. So I will double check that to share that with you. But why in this day and age, when technology is so draining, when work's so draining, when everything else, why not take that free energy booster of happiness by just saying to yourself three things that you're grateful for each day? That could be writing it down. Now, I tried that for a long time. I kind of got bored of it, and I was kind of writing the same things down. So I started practicing it instead of writing it down. Once my eyes open in the morning, I'll just say three things that I'm grateful for. Now, that could be a big thing, or it could be the fact that I didn't run out of petrol on my way to work. It could be a fact that maybe someone held the door for me, or someone bought me a coffee, or a stranger said hello in the street. But by practicing three things that you're grateful for, it does have a massive impact on happiness. So that's just something else to be aware of, and maybe something else that you could implement every now and again. And going back to the gratitude reframe, so bringing your attention to everything that isn't wrong. So when you're feeling stressed and maybe you're facing a problem, and like I said again, it doesn't have to be stress. Let's say problem, just insert problem. Ask yourself, what's your idea of hell on earth? What would be your worst nightmare? So have a good think about that, and then go through those last two questions. What could be happening that is much So that's it. Basically, what could be happening that's much worse than this? But why are you grateful this problem doesn't exist? So no matter what your problem is at the minute, if it's not your hell on earth, or if it's not your worst case scenario, do you really have a problem? So that's just another way of trying to kind of look at your stress from a different direction, or looking at your problems from, again, a different direction. So one of my favorites is the other people reframe. So consider how someone you trust and admire might respond to your problem. And this is really powerful when you really think about it and put it into action. So what advice might they give you, and how might they say, don't think like that. Think of it like this. So think of your hero. Think of someone you look up to. That could be brother, sister. The list is there. A mentor, a family member, a cousin, comedian, yourself in 10 years' time, yourself 10 years ago, or someone from a totally different culture, some celebrity, whoever that hero is to you. Just ask yourself, well, how would they deal with it? What would they do? How would they say, don't think like that? Don't think like that. Think like this. You know, I was just I was on a call there yesterday with a guy, and I just had to laugh, just it's just because the age profile and everything. He said that his hero was The Rock, and every time we speak to each other, and every time he's facing a barrier or an obstacle, he asks himself, what would The Rock do? And whatever he can hear or picture The Rock do, and that's what he does. And he breaks through those barriers and breaks through those obstacles. Now, it doesn't have to be The Rock. It could be a parent, sibling, anyone from that list below. But really try and zone into, what would that person do? Like, they're your hero for a reason. How would they deal with that problem? How would they deal with this stress? Just back on a book recommendation here. I listened to him on Audible just because I presume with a lot of ladies on this chat that you might agree, but Matthew McConaughey, he'd be quite popular. His book Green Lights, another book I'd highly recommend. I listened to it on Audible. Just on, no matter what problem he faced, it was a problem for a reason. So green light. No matter what problem came his way, it was a green light. It would help him move forward. But in terms of the other people reframe, he was asked, who's his hero? And he said, unfortunately, he'd never meet his hero, because his hero's him in 10 years' time. But when he gets to him in 10 years' time, it'll be still him in 10 years' time. So he's never going to meet his hero, but he's always going to work hard towards meeting his hero to be his own hero. I don't know if that's just a bit kind of going off on a little bit of a tangent, but highly recommend that book as well. So that's Matthew Walker, Why We Sleep, and Matthew McConaughey, Green Lights. So yeah, I hope on the other people reframe that you get a good sense of that, and it takes a lot of maybe sitting down, and these journaling prompts, when you have a time on your own, they're really quite powerful. And again, if there's any more journaling prompts that you would like in any aspects, just ask Amanda and I'll happily send her on some as well. So more tools you can use to deal with stress. So take a 10-minute walk. According to a few experts, if you take a walk, it'll help reduce endorphins in the system that cause stress. Just walking away with it, being with your thoughts, especially even if you have an Audible book or a podcast. Like I keep going back to, in this day and age with the phones, it's basically like a battery for anxiety and stress. But even if you have your phone in your pocket and you're listening to an Audible book or a podcast, you're actually like cutting the ties off with your Snapchats, your Instagrams, your TikToks. So the aesthetic chemistry that those apps cause are alleviated, even if you're still listening to an Audible app, because you're kind of you're on your own, you're in your own head, you're filling up your own cup for the first time in maybe a long time. Practice mindfulness. Learning how to focus on your breathing can help you reduce stress. So if you're able to take a few minutes out of your day and breathe in silence, that can greatly help you reduce your stress. Now, I've become a massive advocate for this in recent times. I like doing the Wim Hof method, any type of breathing technique that will help you destroy your stress. You'll find multiple ones on YouTube. Again, I can send stuff on to Amanda that if anybody's interested, but it doesn't have to be this 20-minute, 30-minute breathing session. You can literally find breathing techniques that you can do for 1 or 2 minutes, and literally 2 minutes of a meditation or a breathing, whether you're at your office table or at home or on the couch, feeling a wee bit stressed or anxious, literally 2 minutes of breathing can ground you and take you back to yourself, and can like actually change the trajectory of your day. And it's just so valuable. If you are anyone who's not stressed, you might go, yeah, okay, breathing, yeah, good one. Sure, we breathe every day. We don't breathe properly every day, and that's everybody. That's me included. When for the lady who has the baby in the house, look at your baby breathing. Babies breathe from their belly. As we get older, because of stress, our breathing gets more shallow and shallow and shallow. If you can think of the last time that you were in a panic situation, or even seen someone on TV in a panic situation, how do they breathe? They're not filling up their body with oxygen whatsoever. By practicing breathing techniques, which I highly recommend, you change your body's acidic chemistry to an alkaline chemistry. Not only does this help like destroy stress, anxiety, even depression, it also gets to work on killing things like such as cancer cells as well. So I'm a big fan of it. And only 2 weeks ago, I noticed myself during the week being kind of very narky or snappy back at a couple of people I was working with, or maybe my girlfriend. And I knew to take myself into my room and to do 20 minutes of my particular breathing. And I came out a totally new man, totally new way of focus, totally stress destroyed. And it just shows you the power. And I'll put my hand up and say I don't practice it every day, but I practice it as much as I can, just so this I can keep stress at bay. So create an exercise regimen, which I imagine you have one of the best exercise regimens going with one of the best coaches that you will possibly ever have. Like, and I'm not just saying that. Like, I really believe that anyone who works with Amanda, that Amanda will probably be the last coach you'll ever have, if you know what I mean. And that's just a credit to her. So if you can spend more time on your day getting a workout in that you enjoy. So like it's all about being gentle with yourself. Don't be going to the gym. Like this could be a bad example. Don't be going to jiu-jitsu if you don't like jiu-jitsu. Don't be going boxing if you hate punching. Find something that's comfortable for your body, something that you enjoy, and something that you're going to keep up, rather than something you have to slug through for 4 or 5 weeks and then cause you stress because you didn't keep it up. Write a reflection journal. I'd be a massive advocate again for keeping a journal of everything, like conversations that you have with people, what you're eating. Journals are so powerful, like I said at the beginning, because the story that your head plays for you at times, especially in stressful situations, is often a made up story or often an exaggerated story. Like, I'm sure we've all spoken to someone before about a problem, and once we spoke to that person, that problem was halved, or that problem became more simpler to find a solution to. Your journal is your therapist. Your journal is your counselor. Your journal is your coach. Your journal is your best friend. tell your journal as much as you can and kind of look forward to looking back. There's nothing better to see progress than looking back to 1 year ago and see how you're feeling, or even what you're eating, or even keeping a journal just so you can pass it back to your child in 15, 20 years so they can see what life was like at the same age for them. So I'm a big fan of keeping a journal just to write down your thoughts and events that happen to you. Because it can give you a good fresh perspective about situations that you're in. Keeping yourself organized, set aside a few minutes each day to create a planner in order to get your thoughts straight and to take a chill pill to avoid chaos when be taking place around you. Like, so it's very important, like just like you have a schedule at work, have your overall schedule if you can, and split your to-do lists up to 4 categories. And really important and must do, put that stuff in there. Important, but don't have to do it yet. Not that important, I'll get it, and not important at all. If you can break your week up into things like that, that means you're not going to be jumping over and back and getting stressed over the small stuff. And you're not going to be procrastinating because you're going to be banging off the stuff that needs to be done. And that'll just clear up so many minutes, hours for you where you can chill out and be stress-free. So just to be a little bit organized, because without organization, you don't know what's coming around the corner, and something's always coming around the corner. No matter what you're doing, I would always plan for what could go wrong in this situation. Because if you can plan for what might go wrong or could go wrong, at least when that thing shows up, you know exactly how to get rid of it and it's gone. Whether instead of it showing up and it beating you. So at least plan. For example, we done a bit of running over the weekend, me and a group, but I planned that at a certain stage throughout the run that I would get negative self-talk and maybe possibly an injury and things like this. So I actually wrote down what I would say to myself when the negative talk would set in. So as planned, halfway or 3/4 way in, the self-talk sat in. And usually that would probably make me stop and make me doubt that I was going to finish the run. But because I was prepared to what I was going to say back to it, I was able to basically tell my self-doubt to hit the road. And I was able to continue and burst through because I was prepared for stressful situations. So just prepared to know what you're going to do in those situations. So there's just a few points and tips that could help you or might help you put your stress under a bit of control. And one of the best ways to help control your stress is by coming up with ideas on your own that have worked on reducing those stressful moments. So try and think back of a time you dealt with stress before. How did you overcome it? And make your own tools, make your own stuff work for you. If the stuff they say on YouTube, if the stuff they say in books doesn't work, make what works for you work for you, because everyone's so different. So you don't have to do what the person's next to you is doing if that doesn't work for you, because that again is only going to add a bit of stress if you're going to try and do what the person next to you is, because that's just comparing, and comparison is the thief of joy at the end of the day. So there's no problem here. If you face the problem, you can allow yourself to see it through a different frame. So I go through all the 4 frames or any of your favorite frames that we went through, which will move you away from your current self-perceived level of discomfort or the way that you look at something and look at it a different way. So if you change your perspective on things, just like going back to the rain at the barbecue, you'll change your life. So changing that barbecue from outside to inside made it a bad night into a fantastic night. So same as changing your perspective on any problem, or in this case, stress. You change your perspective, you change your life. And that's what that's what hopefully these reframing will allow you to do. So I'd always say to remember to accept the things that you can't change, have the courage to change the things that you can. So take action and have the wisdom to know the difference between them. So I would really, really hope that you could go through these slides, and even if you doubt that these would work, prove me wrong. Get a problem, get a stressful situation, journal, use the prompts, put them into action, and come back to me then. So try and just use that, because we are in a stressful age, I guess. So if we don't reinvest in ourselves, it's like when they say on the airplane, you put on your own mask first. If you don't put on your own mask first and you're going to try and help everyone else, you're going to run out of air and you're going to be no good. You're not going to be able to help those important to you or those closest to you. So make sure you do try and implement these things and look after number one. And it's funny, it's not in a selfish way, but you kind of need to be selfish if you want to give to others. So always try and fill up your own cup before you start filling up other people's cups. So thanks very much for listening. And I guess, Amanda, I'll come back in here now. And that's basically it from me. And it just, again, I'm happy to send on anything I can, any book recommendations, any podcast recommendations, any more journaling prompts, and any more resources to do with stress management. And I will be sending Amanda on just a quick little resource that you could put in play as well after this call is over.
Jonathan, thank you so much. I am literally buzzing here. I can tell by the comments coming in that other people are as well. Look, this is something that I do try and work with clients, but having such an expert like yourself coming in and just saying all that has honestly just blown my mind this morning. I do have the recording, and this is being recorded, so I will send it on to people. Majority of the stuff I'll be able to send on, but if there is anything that anybody has any questions on or anything in particular, I will send it on to you. I think personally, I'm just going to put my own personal little addition to mindset work. You really have to want to try and do it. Had we had this conversation, Jonathan, 5 years ago, I'd be laughing at some of the stuff that you're saying. And that's being 100% honest. I would be like, oh yeah, I don't have time for that. I can't do that. Everything would have been like a very negative approach to it. The serenity prayer that you use there, I actually personally use that all of the time. So when you brought it up, I was like, oh my God, I love that. And I honestly, guys, this isn't something that's just going to happen overnight. Like, these things don't just change overnight. And I do continuously say that. But as Jonathan said, if you can prove him wrong and put these things into practice and it doesn't change something, I would be very, very, very surprised. Jonathan, thank you so much. For those of you who aren't aware, Jonathan came on at 12 o'clock at night to do this talk today. So thank you, honestly, so much. And I definitely won't be the last time I'll be getting you on to talk to the peeps, because that was just phenomenal. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks you very much yourself.
Right, guys, I literally have to try and calm down a little bit because I'm just absolutely buzzing. If anybody does have anything, maybe like just for 2 minutes before, does anybody have a particular question or anything? Maybe that, I think a lot of it is very self-reflection and very much individual based, but does anybody have anything that they want? No, everybody's just very thankful. All right, Jonathan, go to bed. Oh, do you recommend any gratitude booze? Oh, books.
Gratitude books. I can give a list to Amanda, but I would, funny enough, I was asked this 2 weeks ago. I would say start writing down what you're grateful for each day, and within a week or two, you're gonna start seeing you're gonna have your own gratitude book, whether it's big or small things.
And another one was any good journal recommendations?
Yeah, journals are a funny one because some people just like the blank page books where they can write, but some people like prompts as well. Now there is one particular journal, and it's I believe it's aimed at males, but just because it says men or male every once in every 20 pages, just you can rub that out. I think it's very good, the prompts in it. It's called, I actually have it in front of me here now. Let me just grab it. Let's see. I think it's called it's Mind. It doesn't even say the name of it. I'll pass it on to you afterwards. I'll message you
Yeah.
straight away after with the name of the journal, because it's called Mind Journal.
Mind.
And it guides you through a journey. It has a weekly self-reflection or daily self-reflection. Let me just see a couple of things, but the prompts in it are fantastic. There's different prompts that will really get you thinking, that will really kind of get you opening up to yourself for the first time in maybe a long time. It'll get you to write down your intentions, achievements, things you're grateful for, your happy hour that you have to schedule in. So mindjournals.com, I would check it out.
Perfect. I'm going to give all this when I'm putting up the recording anyway, so that's perfect. Again, thank you so much, Jonathan. Really, really appreciate that, and so does everybody else. Thank you. And good night.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.